just like we just came in.
Okay.
Hello, and thank you for joining us for part 2 of Breath. This is Conversation for the Curious Mind, brought to you by InSearch Innovation. All right, Eddie.
Yes.
Good evening, and how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
So let's get right into it, Eddie. We finished off our last episode, Breath Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
And we said we were going to come right into it. We were going to talk about and define breath work. And we're also going to cover sleep. Remember, we talked about having a breathing routine for sleep, a preparation, if you will.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure you go. I hope we have some response from some of our viewers. That's one of the serious issue we have in our country with Americans struggling with sleep disorder. That it's a big one. There's no, it's a very big one. So you're bound to have some people respond to that. One of the things we need to know is that the breath. One of the essential aspects of the human breath and the breath itself and all living organism, it's that it's connect and improve and it's part of and it essential to our overall health, and that's very important. Now when you talk about the breath, you're talking about existence, you're talking about life, you're talking about living, you're talking about all the other aspects, because everything that breathe, it's a symbol of life in and of itself. So talking about the breath, you're talking about life. There is no life without breath. And
the whole purpose of this series is the essentials of life, and that's why I chose breath to start. There's a rule of 3 when you're any type of survivalist training or any part of that ethos. Even the medical world will tell you it's a rule of 3. You have 3 minutes without breath, without air, and you expire. You have 3 days or 72 hours ish, depending on body mass, until you expire without water. And then you have 3 weeks until you're no longer alive without food. I had a friend of mine, I was actually discussing the podcast today as I was getting ready to leave work.
Mhm.
And he's like a podcast, like you guys have like a studio? And I was like, yeah, I have a digital online studio, and I can podcast with people from all around the world sitting. We got some good tech over here, even though we don't all the way know how to use it yet, but we're getting better. But unfortunately, his father had passed away last year, and I was talking about the threes. You had 3 minutes without breath, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. And he said when his father had his last stroke, which was a pretty bad stroke, his father was in his late 80s, I believe. But he said to his mother, "You have 3 days. I want you to understand that." And that was based on the 3x3x3. They said they weren't going to do anything else for him, and they were putting him on hospice. And Mark knew, because of the severity of his father's stroke, that there would be the rules come in. And he said it was like clockwork, man, the 3rd day. His dad had passed on that 3rd day. So breath is important. Water is important too,
Absolutely. And what we want to tell our audience, there's a term that people use a lot, we call breath work. There's another side to that, and that's not playing on words. Breath work. It's an exercise. It's a procedure. It's something we can do. But there's the other side to what we call the breath is working. If you're breathing, that's when your breath is working. And like everything else, I know people don't know that unless even people in healthcare don't practice those things. But there's something that we deal with in what we call in healthy living, what it's called the quality of your breath. What is the quality of your breath? Again, those are very vital part of learning about breath. And so while you're breathing, people may not be aware or nor do they practice the concept or recall what is the quality of your breath. Now that's interesting to know. If you're talking to someone, you ask them, what is your quality of life you have? Or they be able to tell you all kind of wonderful things that are going in their lives. But if you
Most
say,
of it's
what is your
surrounded by
quality?
capitalism, consumption, but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
But if you ask them, what is the quality of your breath? And the person, I don't know, I'm breathing, but what is the quality of that breath? And they probably wouldn't be able to tell you. So the quality of a breath encompasses everything: the my thoughts, my sight, my hearing, where I live, my environment, the place I work, the people I work with. Okay, the quality of my breath, and it is very important to be familiar with the quality of the bread. Unfortunately, it's very hard today to even put a number of the aspect of the quality of breath because there's nothing clean in our environment. Our air is not clean. We have noise pollutions, and now we're talking about sound now, not the fundamental concept of noise. But nevertheless, that's even more urgent for us to pay attention to the quality of bread. And another aspect I want to make, if you tell someone one of the problem we have in this country as well, probably all over the world, it's our hearing. As we get older, hearing is an issue. You will find more, treatment for your hearing than for your breath, unless you have OCD, okay,
Or
COPD
COPD,
rather.
yeah.
Yes. Other than that, if you're breathing, nobody have any kind of formal information, teaching, education about how to, unless you're in those wellness, program and healthy living and yoga, meditations, and all those different things. Other than that, you just breathe. So we really don't pay attention to the quality of a breath. That is very important because the quality of your breath also indicate the quality of your overall health, and that is the point about the quality of it. So our breath is not only simply breathing, but it's essential to everything in our lives. That's a very important part. And so, as we said the other night, is that some of the things that the breath are directly interconnected with, it connect to them nonetheless. But what we do is to bring those things to our awareness. So in other words, um, how does the breath uh, relate or interconnected to sleep? And then we're not talking about you going to bed and then you fall asleep. That's not what we're talking about. And as you recall, last time we talked, I made a statement. I said that what should happen in terms of going to sleep or prepare to go to sleep or sleeping time, there is an element. We do a comparative analysis. I think I say that to you. If I invite you to go out to eat with me, on our way there to go to the place where we're going to eat, your body already began the process of digestion just by talking about the food. It is the same thing with the bread. There's a time we need to say, okay, I'm going to close in and then begin the process of rest. Okay, you're still awake, but to begin okay, that's my rest time because I'm getting ready to go to bed. And that's what we mean when we say you should not leave something to go to bed. You should leave nothing to go to bed. You should not shut off your computer and then to go to bed because you time to go to bed, or turn off your TV and then you go to bed, or whatever it is you were doing
Shouldn't
to go
even
to
close
bed.
a book, right?
You shouldn't even
I mean,
close the book. If you read before bedtime, you should close the book to prepare to go to bed. And
mm,
what that means is people don't know that. That's how intricate the bread is. Whatever it is you were doing prior to go to bed, even though you stop it, your body's still doing it.
yeah. No, yeah. I call
It-
that vibration. I,
yeah,
I
yeah. Your
I get
body's
it
still
from the
doing it.
gym. I get it from like
Yeah,
if I do research, like rabbit hole research before bed, even as I'm walking up the steps, I can feel like this reverberation of the
yes,
pursuit of whatever knowledge I'm seeking that day, or the especially when I go to the gym and I do like a hard, large muscle group work. like I did today. Oh, I walked in the door and I'm like, "Ooh, yeah." I'm growling at my
And
dogs and
and what interesting about this idea that whatever it is you walk away from, even though you stop doing it physically and then you go to bed, your body's still doing it. In other words, it's going to take your body a long time. Even after you fall asleep, your body's still doing it. This is why people have restless night, but they don't associate it with the fact that it's how I went to bed. They don't. They think it's the work day week or whatever else. Now, interesting. If you tell someone that, most people will understand this part. If you get into an argument with someone just before bedtime and go to bed and see what happened,
yep. There's a
you can
rule in
fall
my
asleep.
house. We don't go to bed mad. We're
That's
gonna
it. You
hash
can fall
this shit
asleep.
out and then we can go to bed. But we ain't no, we don't fight after 8 o'clock here, and we don't permeate fights
Yeah,
into
you need to,
sleeping
okay.
hours
Yeah,
now. It
yeah,
doesn't
you're
make
gonna
sense.
exercise.
Yeah.
Oh,
It doesn't make
does
sense.
it make perfect sense. It
Yeah.
makes perfect sense. And so most people will understand the idea that if you walk away from an argument, you go to bed, you're not going to fall asleep in a few minutes. You're going to toss and turn because your body's still arguing. Now,
And
interesting,
yeah, go
most
ahead.
people understand that, but if you tell them, if you turn off your television, your body's still watching TV, they're like, really?
Wait, really?
No, I turn it off.
So John Wick before bed is not good?
No,
No, no,
some
okay.
horror movie, yeah,
No horror
your,
movies before bed. Okay.
yeah, your body is still going through it.
See, I
Yeah,
100% have to agree with you because I'm a sports fan. I enjoy watching games, and like a lot of times the NFL or NBA they're on late, and I got to get up early in the morning to go to my job. And there's times where if it's a good game and it comes down to the last couple plays or the last couple seconds of the game, I can't go right up to bed. I gotta go take the dogs for a walk and get that out. Just get that angst out. But when you say you do nothing, you want to do nothing to go to bed. You want
in other
to
words, whatever it is you're doing, you need to stop it at least 10, 15 minutes before you go to bed.
and do what?
Just sit down and pay attention to your breath. And anyone come to you and say, listen, I'm done. I'm in bed now. Well, you're not in bed. Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
This is
I'm
part of it.
done.
Just like
Yeah,
brushing
whatever
my
it is,
teeth and washing my hands before bed. This is part of
yeah,
the
correct. I'm whatever. Unless someone is have a health issue and an emergency, that's
gotcha.
different. But anything else, you can say, we're gonna have to do that tomorrow because I'm not in bed. You can sit anywhere. You tell any person, I am prepared. I'm telling the body we're going to bed. 10, 15 minutes prior to that, you prepare yourself to go to bed. And so when you go to bed, you go to bed to fall asleep.
So
There are
what
different things. Go ahead.
what would be a technique that you would use? I'm super interested in this because sleep is not an issue for me, but the scheduled timing of sleep is. I'm a natural night owl, which apparently a lot of men of my type are. A lot of guys who I don't even want to say like an alpha mentality, but an assertiveness to them.
Hmm.
High performers, CEOs, even authors are known to burn the midnight oil, if you will. Maybe burn a candle at both ends a couple nights a week. But I find myself to be most productive. It's a curse and it's a blessing at the same time. I'm most productive after 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. And I've thought about this a lot and I've kind of psychoanalyzed it on my own. I think the reason being is if I try to relax or try to improve myself, educate myself, even just do something that I'm enjoying, editing
Yeah.
podcasts. If I try to do that at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, I have a background angst because it's 6 o'clock in the afternoon and like the
That's
store's
too
still
early.
open. I probably got to go to the store yet. The gym's still up. I got to get over to the gym. My nephew's hanging out down the street, so there's my nephew's best friend lives like 6 doors down from me. But during the day when it's nice out, my neighbors are out and there's this whole ecosystem out there and there's always things to do. There's always things to pull you from. But 8, 9 o'clock at night, there's not. The gym's closing at 9. The store closes at 9. Most people's lights are off and they're in their home at 9. So from like 9 to 11 to 12 o'clock, I have no responsibility to be anything or anywhere or give attention to or, time to accomplish. There's nothing to do. That gives me an opportunity to do whatever I want to do.
Mhm.
I love that time, Eddie. I would, and I do it regularly. I give up 1 or 2 hours of sleep that evening
Mhm.
because of how valuable that developmental time is late at night when there's no one around. When there's no one to bug me, there's no questions. My phone's not dinging. I don't have this feeling of I can only work on this for another 40 minutes because then I got to go to dinner or I got to go to, pick someone up or drop someone off or meet someone somewhere. None of that exists after 8 o'clock for me.
I
So
understand that.
I need what you got right now because I could give 15 minutes to stop that vibration. Because when you say do nothing before bed, to me, it's like I do everything before bed. Uh-oh. So what is something, what does Dr. P do 15 minutes before or the time before when he says, this is my rest period? What are those breathing rhythms and tempo like?
Well, like I said, 10, 15 minutes before my bedtime, I start this process way before that 10, 15 minutes. That 10, 15 minutes, it's a lockdown. That means I'm off. It's not start at 10, 15 minutes. It's the 10, 15 minutes mean I'm locked down. Unless someone is having a heart attack or an emergency, I will give no response to that. So I always get off my knees to go to bed. In other words, I sit in what you call the hero pose. We can't do it here because the people who see it, if we were to do it in the yoga, it's a hero
So how
pose.
how would I sit in the hero pose? Just
The
give it lip service.
where the hero pose where you sit on your ankle, just like you start
So
a
you
yoga.
put your knees behind you and you're sitting with your
No, your
glute-
knees
your
knees
in
in
front.
front of you,
your
your
feet
heel.
under your butt.
Your butt. Yeah, we
Okay.
call that the hero pose, and that's
And
where
you sit up like you're
you sit up. Y-
samurai.
correct.
Like a samurai.
That's correct.
Okay. So sitting
Yeah,
samurai is a hero pose.
yeah. We call it a hero pose, and they also call it the sage pose. The concept of sage means it's a very holistic approach to the divinity, and so that's where I get up off that pasture and then just slide myself into bed. Doing that pasture, what I'm focused on it's the breath. I'm actually what we do. Of course, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who understand that. I want to take a look at my breath. That's what you're doing. You want to be able to look at your breath. In other words, almost as to say, um, I am. There's a bunch of people who's telling me things that almost if to say, I don't know. We're not live. Nobody can see that yet, right? I don't know who those people are who's saying that they like my whatever. I don't know who are there from Facebook. They
Yeah,
keep popping up.
yeah, because you're probably blowing up right now. We're not live, but there's 2 hours of you being
Yes.
our knowledge base. Close it. Just
Yeah. So
I see you keep looking like this, and I'm like, uh-oh.
yeah, I'm reading them because the
Yeah, don't
problem
read 'em.
always is that like
Yeah.
what you want to do is to that's for someone who practiced be aware of the quality of your breath. So just before you slide into bed, you want to look at your breath. In other words, it takes you moments to take some deep breathing, and you want to look at the breath. Is it flowing? Is it fluid? Is there water in the breath? Is it dry? Okay. Is it skip? Okay. You
Okay.
paid that all that. So that's mean you're looking at the breath, and then you slide into bed, and then
So what are
fall
some of the
asleep.
things that you would look for as like we'll call them a red flag in the breath? And what are things that you can do to address those red flags? Example, you said about is the breath wet, is the breath dry? What if the breath is oversaturated with saliva, or what if it is dry? Do you address that, or do you just continue to concentrate on breath And then,
If that's something you just noticed just before bed, you probably pay attention to it, and then when you get up tomorrow, address what it is. But if your breath is dry, it's a symptom. Could be something, a symptom of something else. That's not something you to
dehydration,
address
possibly.
right
Yeah.
now before you go to bed, but you want to
Okay.
pay attention to it, take notice of it, and then plan to address it so you can improve the quality of your breath. Remember, always infer to the quality of the breath, not just the breath, but the quality of it, and that's what you're
Okay.
looking at. And so, if the breath is dry, that's probably there's not enough water in your body, and that's going to interfere with your sleep tonight. What is the temperature in your room where you are? Again, we're talking about overall health because uh, uh, the temperature of your room have a lot to do with your breath. You don't want your room to be too cold. You don't want it to be too warm. A
Yeah.
lot of people think during summertime they want to sleep with the air conditioning. That's not something you want to do at all. You want to cool the room to something comfortable and then turn off the air conditioning or put it on vent or just keep the air cool enough. You want your body temperature to be somewhat commensurate with the whatever fan or uh, conditioning you have. So you do all that to make sure that the external world is telling your brain that everything is in place for me to go to sleep. That's something you need to do every night. That's a very important thing to do. And so you prepare the body to go to bed, and that this is some of the ritual we do to prepare the mind, the body, and to go to bed.
Would you agree that that'd be like akin to getting your breath work and maybe doing like the motion of the exercise before you do like heavy lifting or concentrated lifting? Like you're prepping the muscle, you're getting the motion and you're kind of squeezing and you're engorging things with blood and you're with your breath work as you're preparing to do like a warm-up set before you do a heavy lift. It's
Yeah,
akin to before you're going to do some heavy sleeping. Get the
when
rhythm and
you get to the time when you're ready to go to bed to sleep, uh, all of your movement should be breath movement, very little involving the physical aspect motion. You don't want to do anything motion because you're going to activate some of the other organs that you're awakening them. You don't want to do that. So everything you do, you want it to be very surreal, kind of like motionless. Because if you do motion, any like stretch or anything you do, you're going to awaken your internal organ, and they're gonna take time to get them to rest. The idea is to put everything in you to rest. So the only part you want to focus on prior to go to bed is just the breath. You don't want to do too much physical movement like stretching or anything like this. It's a matter of fact, if you want to fall asleep in 1 to 2 minutes, you can put your hands up and take the big thumb and press it like you're trying to get your pulse, but your focus is not your pulse. Your focus is to tell your cardiovascular to slow down the flow of the blood, and then you hold that for about a minute or a minute and a half, and then you release it, and then you just slide to bed. You should fall asleep about a minute the most.
how would you breathe during that? So if I'm holding this, would I like how would my posture of breath what would be the cadence or the rhythm?
Well, because remember,
Recommend it.
I'm doing that from what you call the samurai poses, what we call
Okay.
the sage pose or the
So
hero
as you're
pose.
sitting in the hero
Yeah,
pose, you're grabbing your hand in
I'm
front of you.
breathing, yeah, very gently.
Okay.
One of the things you want to
You
do,
keep it nasal.
you want to hear the breath. You want
And
to
you
hear
keep
the
it
breath.
nasal
Exactly.
in and exhale and
In
nasal.
and out the nose, no mouth. If you do anything mouth, it's gonna dry the throat. Now you have a problem. You don't want that. Everything is to the nostril. And that's how you find it. Is the breath dry? Because if it's not dry, you should be able. It'll flow in and out. And then you want to pay attention. Is it escape? In other words, are you? Is it flowing? You want it to flow, and that's the time you want. Each one of the breaths should last at least 6 to 7 seconds. Inhale, exhale.
So we talked about this in part one, but a complete breath is a full inhale,
Inhale and exhale.
full exhale.
That's
So
one breath.
I wanted to ask you about this because this has been circling in my head, this whole conversation and the whole topic. Does the breath begin with the inhale? Or does the breath begin with the exhale? Where is the beginning of the breath?
It doesn't have a beginning. It doesn't have an end. The breath have no beginning, no end. It's
But
interesting.
Okay.
Go ahead.
No,
It's interesting to know the inhale and exhale, they are totally independent. They stand on their own. That's why you need both to make one.
Yes, that's why I was asking which one is the
Neither one is beginning, neither one is
so-
end.
but which one? How can I put this?
Neither
So
one
if
is
I'm
beginning.
counting my breaths, do I start counting on the, or do I start counting on the?
You can start with either one. You can take a deep breath.
They're
and begin-
interchangeable.
Yes, you can take a deep
Okay.
breath and begin counting with the exhale, or you can exhale, begin count with the inhale. They're independent. They're totally independent. People don't know that. One of the things, hopefully, we can talk about sometime. We use that is the idea of yes and no. Of course, those are things we want to teach people. We get deep into those concepts when we get into transcendental.
You always do this
bioenergy.
to me. Hold on. Always do this to me, man. We want to talk about the concept of yes and no.
Yes. And what that means is yes is not opposite to no. They're not opposite to each other.
No.
They're
One's
totally
easy and one's
independent.
hard. That's all it is. You want to hear my quick 10-second?
Yes.
Okay. In life, you are constantly requested by people and things. We'll use moving, for example.
Mhm.
Hey, Eddie, I'm moving this weekend. Can you help? Now, if you say no, that's very simple. Very little risk, very little responsibility. But all the ethos of no is known, because if you say no, you know what's going to happen. You're not going to help me move. But if you say yes, the ethos of yes is a guess. So no is known, yes is a guess. Because when you say yes, you're guessing that I mean I'm going to move my house and the things inside of it, because that's what to move means. But it could be a whole thing. I could have 4 floors of very narrow stairways, and I have a pulley system that we're going to use to get my bedroom furniture out. Now you're risking your life underneath my homemade, and you could have just said no. You know what I mean? So in sales, when I was working in sales
Mhm.
and running my own business, I stopped accepting no because I knew it was the easy answer. If you told me no, now I'm asking you a follow-up question to start directing you towards the answer yes. And it was a game that I would play if I was told no or it's not available. Well, I'm asking 5 more questions before no is even an option. You have to give me no's and reasons why for no's for the next 5 as well before I accept the first no. Because no is easy. No is lazy. No is uninspiring. No is safe. There's no risk and there's very little reward in no. Yes is an adventure. Yes is a guess. Yes is growth. And yes, if you say yes and you help me move, and it is hard, it's difficult. Our friendship bonded a little more though. I really did appreciate the help that you brought, and the job couldn't have been done without you, bud. Now you have a friend that you got almost a guaranteed yes whenever you have something difficult that needs done. It's a huge benefit. There's some people out there in this world that you want them to owe you a favor once in a while. Yeah, you help someone move, that guy owes you a favor. If I need something done, but hey, I got this weird thing that I need to move. Come here. You got to say yes. I helped you move on a Saturday, and it was nice out. But that's my little concept of yes and no. Yes is a guess, and no is known. No is easy for lazy people, and yes is for us adventurous ones.
Now, if you recall, uh, I lay out the foundation for the premise to which I will be speaking on. I said if we're talking about the breath, we're talking about existence. So when I
Yes.
invoke the element yes and no are not opposite to each other, I was moving the conversation in the area what we call epistemology. So that was
Epistemology.
epistemological statement. So
Epistemology. That's a new word for me. I'm going to chew on that one.
Yeah, that's an epistemological concept. We delving deep into form and formlessness, which is another concept of philosophical understanding of life. So people have to understand that those things are independent on their own. Now that's one of the problem human beings have. We're using natural law for our interaction. So that's why you're able to give all the elaboration about your view of yes and no. But it doesn't do anything to natural law because nature is not going to change the fundamental premise of epistemology to fit your understanding of yes and no. Yes and no are not opposite to each other anymore. We mean that way until the end of existence. So in other words, when you tell someone no, it doesn't have an opposite yes. A no can never become yes. A yes can never become no because they're not coexist. In other words, you can find yes exists without no. It doesn't need no to exist. No doesn't need yes to exist.
No is a funny word because the tone of no matters the no.
But see, that's again, we're back to sociology. See, sociological understanding. You can talk and you can communicate. So you're using natural law to explain that. But when we go into the area of epistemology, those all my sociological,
it's more of a lever action. No does this, right does that, or yes does that. There's no.
Now, interestingly enough, this fundamental concept I just introduced, notice, is the same rule apply for the inhale and exhale. The inhale is not the opposite of the exhale. They exist
they
independently.
Are their own thing. You're inhaling
correct.
Or you're exhaling. You're not. You can't do both. They don't. They both cannot exist at the same time.
Correct.
Here it goes again. I need to get one of those. Remember 90s radio where they would have a button? I need to get one of those. So whenever we have one of those moments,
yeah, see, that's beautiful what you just said. That said, they exist on their own and independent of themselves. And so we take those fundamental aspects. Now remember, we're talking about existence. And when we talk about existence, sociology have a problem because most of the things we're doing and saying, we're doing it from a sociological point of view, not from a natural point of view, which we call natural law. The same fundamental principle apply for human being, or what you call Homo sapien, the concept of human. Male and female are not opposite to each other. They exist independently. They're not opposite to each other. We just use the concept, the opposite sex. No, they're not opposite to each other.
No.
Now
they're independent of their own.
Correct.
There's nothing that, like, yeah, I agree with you. I'm not the opposite of a female.
No,
I'm pretty much the exact same as a female until you get down to the dirty parts. Once you get down to the dirty in the plumbing area, that's where we change. Everything else is physiologically. I might be a little taller or a little wider in the shoulders. That's we all have the same, 109 muscles? We all have the same 23 chromosomes. Some of us were blessed with an extra. Way to go, guys. But at the end, most politicians, but at the end of the day, it's, I can eat the same thing. I can drink the same thing. I need the same amount of sleep, the same amount of breath. The rule of three applies the exact same to a man that it does to a woman. So yeah, you're 100% right. There's not an opposite. It's a lever. That's
Yeah,
that, and then that's that.
and so it's in our human interaction, again, all things considered, it's in our human interaction, we just put those things together and we repeat them the way we feel like, the way they meet our social interaction, the way that they meet what I want to accomplish and what I want to say, and both from a fundamental natural law, and if we delve into the concept of epistemology, we realize those things they exist innate in existence in terms of nature, but in terms of their operation, they are totally independent on and of themselves. Which brings us back how important it is for us to understand the intricate aspect of our breath. And so we need to have a relationship with the breath. And so that's one of the things I teach people. Do you have a relationship with your breath? For example, people say that to you all the time. And when they say that, you understand it's a proverb. If somebody tell you you want something from them and they tell you it's never going to happen and you insist it's going to happen and they look at you and say, well, don't hold your breath. The person tell you you're going to die before that happen because as far as they're concerned, that's never going to happen.
In the
And if
next
you're
3
going to hold,
minutes.
that's right. If you hold your breath, you're going to be at disadvantage. And you're going to don't hold your breath. And you know what the person tell you because they don't plan to do whatever it is you ask them to do, go wherever you go. And they tell you, well, don't hold your breath because but if the person say, oh, I can do it before you take the next breath, that means it's going to happen right away.
It's good.
You know what I
In
mean?
less than 3 minutes.
Exactly. So we understand.
All right, now I can put
how-
a time to this. I like it.
Okay, so we
I like it.
understand when we invoke those things, but we tend to separate them away from the breath and from the essence.
It
of the
just
breath.
becomes another saying out of the ethos. We're gonna
Exactly.
take a quick 5-minute bathroom break. Are you okay with that? 2 minute
No, I'm
bathroom
not
break.
okay with that. It's almost 1 a.m., so I'm getting ready to go to bed. It's 17
Is it?
after
It's
12.
7
So
after
it's
12.
so it's 43 minutes before 1 a.m.
We are pretty cool. All right,
So
then I will push through and I'll lock up my bladder.
so we probably want to close in the next
Uh,
13 minutes. So I'll go to
I,
12:30, then we can end, and then we'll pick it up tomorrow. Maybe or we can
we can
continue
pick it
this
up tomorrow
Sunday.
morning too. We can pick it up tomorrow morning too if you're
No,
available,
not tomorrow morning. I'll
or
be
during
out
the
the
afternoon.
road.
Give me a call.
I'll be out the.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll
yeah,
work it out then. Yeah, we'll work it out.
yes. So we'll do another 13
So
minutes.
we define breath.
Yes, we define breath in very various way. Breath is the essence of life. Every place you see life, you will see the breath. Even a rock breathe.
Hmm.
It have a
It's the
different
soil
method.
breeze. Yeah,
Yeah, it have a
we
different
aerate
method
soil.
operandi.
Yep.
Correct. Have a different modus operandi for its breath, but every place you see. Now, for example, people understand that we've been spending numbers of decades looking for life on Earth. Most people seems to think what we're looking for life on in space or on the other planet. Most people seem to think we're looking for something walking around. No, we're looking for anything that breathes,
They could be
anything.
micro, anything that
Correct,
takes
correct,
something in and
correct,
pushes something else out. It doesn't even have to
correct,
breathe oxygen. You know, we're
correct.
not even
Yeah,
looking for that anymore.
that's
Methane is
right.
found to support life in the depths of the
That's
ocean.
what, so that's what we're talking about. So now when we come to the human and when we come to the breath, it's extremely important for us to understand. One of the things you do prior to go to bed, and the idea of taking few minutes, 10, 15 minutes prior to slide into bed, the idea to get off some type of position. That position can be your leg was crossing on a nice, comfortable place. You just get up and you go to bed. It could be you just don't want to get up from anything to go to bed. You want to get up
Gotcha.
from nothing to go to bed. What you're doing, you are releasing stress from the body.
Huh. And then is there like an endorphin suppression that happens during that time as well?
Correct. You're
Thought
telling the
so.
body do not produce no don't you don't need because those things are
Yeah.
activation. You don't
The
need that.
That
Okay.
helps the body then to produce its melatonin, so you don't have to eat those gummies too. Yeah.
Okay. All
I
right.
say that because a couple of my friends that I know watch this. They're melatonin monkeys. They can't sleep without 4 or 5 melatonin gummies. And
Well,
I'm like,
that's a habit they probably want to do something about.
yeah. And I mean, if you really look at the studies on that, melatonin does nothing for REM sleep. It can actually ingesting melatonin, and I can get into this in the next part, so I have more information in front of me. I'm going to write that down.
Yes.
But I've read reports before that ingesting melatonin before bed actually slows down your body's production of its own melatonin. And that's what actually keeps you in sleep, in the REM sleep where the growth happens and the healing and the sleep. That's going to be a fun part of this
Absolutely.
this little series we're doing for sure.
Yes. And so what you want to do is to remove anything in the body that have the potential to interfere with the body's sleep and stress and the stress hormone, which is, cortisol. You want to bring that to its very lowest level. Now, that's interesting because as the sun as the earth continue to rotate around the sun, the body will produce enough cortisol to wake you up because that's one of the message the brain need to receive from your gut to wake you up. You don't wake up on your own. The gut communicate to the brain. Tell you now. See, I'm talking natural law. I'm not talking about the modern day man who's exhausted.
We're talking about your circadian rhythm.
Correct.
That is what we're talking about here.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. For most people, we go to bed because I'm tired.
And if anyone wants, again, I'm amateur at this, but I know this works. If you ever want to reset your circadian rhythm for whatever reason, whether it be stress, work, life, sleep outside. One night sleeping outside, even if it's just in your backyard, open air, in a tent, but outside. One night of sleeping outside has been proven to 100% reset the circadian rhythm. It'd be amazing. Do it 2 nights in a row, and your bedtime will coincide with 20 to 30 minutes after the sun goes down. Your body will go down.
Now, that's interesting. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. However, I, as a practitioner, would not say that. The reason why I would not say that because number one, as I just mentioned earlier, we have sleep disorder in this country. So
Yes.
someone who's already dealing with thyroid dysfunction, overloaded caffeine, sleeping outside is not going to do that because the whole system is already malfunctioned. Okay, the
Fair.
thyroid is not operating because the thyroid is a thermostat that regulates a very, very temperature hormone. So if that person eating bad food, everything else, so they can feel, there will be some psychological benefit sleeping outside, but it's not going to reset the rhythm of the circadian because the whole system is completely offside. It will take several cleansing process and preparation.
Very fair point.
But you can say that because you care for people.
Well,
but as a practitioner, I will refrain from give them that will happen because I don't want people to say, Mr. Pierre, you say if I sleep outside, it will happen. Or
no, you say no. Ryan said that, and he's crazy. Yeah. He says whatever the hell he wants. That's what makes our podcast fun. But I say that because I used to work third shift, and I used to drive tractor trailer third shift, so I worked all night long. And when I was getting back to, I got out of that job and was getting into a different position in the company I was with at the time, that would put me on site. So I would work like a normal person, 6 to 3 or 4 and get off and go to bed at, dark time and wake up at, sun up time instead of go to work when the sun goes down and I'm coming home as the sun's coming. That was the worst thing in the world, Eddie. And it happened to me 5 days out of the week. I'd be driving home with this. Like I might as well be running up a mountain to get home. It's taking everything I have and just stay awake. I come up over the little crest in 81 there where Lebanon. And as soon as I get over that little crest, the sun would be coming up through the valley.
Oh, man.
And bing, I'm wide awake. It might as well be 12 in the afternoon, no matter what. Didn't matter how tired I was. I love camping. I love hiking. I love being out in nature and leaving myself with little room for comfort. because it makes me
But
feel better. But I went camping on a Friday, hiked out into the woods with my dog, laid down in my sleeping bag, built a little fire, ate some food, laid in my sleeping bag and went to bed, got up, and bam, just like that, that night I'm ready for bed at 8 o'clock. Right in. After being on third shift for 2 years and spending my weekends not able to sleep. And me being who I am, I'm like, wow, let's do some sleep deprivation. Let's see if I can stay awake for 48 hours, close to it.
mm,
Just completely screw up my sleep schedule for 2 days again. And I'm going to go and I'm going to sleep out in the woods again. I'm going to see what happens. Bam. Same thing. Woke up early morning in the woods with my dog, packed up my stuff, hiked out, got in the car, went home, took a shower, had a day. 8:30 that evening. Oh, man, it's bedtime. I did it again. Like I was so proud of myself because sleep had been something that I'd struggled with in life. And then I took a job that really put me in a compromising position as a person who struggles with sleep and
mhm,
has extradimensional angst already during the day.
mhm.
Now it's time to sleep and everything's open and everyone's moving and I'm losing out on opportunities because I'm tired. So I would always be nipping my sleep away to satisfy other responsibilities or, striving for success in this and that other ethos. So clinically speaking, no, sleeping outside probably doesn't 100% reset your circadian rhythm. But we'll call them Ryanism, a well-studied and researched Ryanism will tell you that if you are a semi-healthy man or woman, human, if you are a semi-healthy human or humanoid-like type creature and you put yourself into nature, nature will take care of you by resetting your circadian rhythm and turning things on and turning things off for you that you don't have to. I mean, you never heard of a pioneer woman not getting sleep or a pioneer man unable to sleep at night. It wasn't an issue then. Even in the early 1900s, prior to the large industrial revolution, when a good portion of the area that we live in didn't even have electricity in the early 1900s, they had no issue going to bed and at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night and getting up at 5 in the morning, sometimes even earlier, because I like to get up before the sun gets up for the same reason that it sucked driving into it at, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. It's amazing waking up and sitting outside as the sun comes up and the world comes alive.
In addition to those people, not only the sleep, where they were to sleep, that's used to include regular nap during the day.
Yes, because they were exhausted because they were up at 4 a.m.
That includes
Yeah.
regular nap, and those nap did not interfere with the normal sleep hours.
Oh.
And so, what we need to be aware of is the life of the modern man is completely out of sync with nature, and thus we're paying a great price for that, and that's where we are. So, next time we meet, we will looking at the scientific research that show how deep breathing enable us to manage our what we call elevated stress, because the more stress you have in the body, the more it's interfere with not only your sleep but with the breath. And so we were looking at what some of the studies that have been done over the years that tell us how to I don't tell people to be, there is no such thing stress-free life. Okay, what you
Yeah.
need to do is to better manage your stress. And
Or
so
mitigate. Yeah. Manage and mitigate. Yeah.
Correct. And so the more we manage stress out of the body, not just for sleep, but our overall health as well as our overall living. And so we're looking at some of the wonderful things research have to tell us about how to remove stress from the body to improve our quality of sleep, our quality of health, improves our gut flora, because those things are very, very important part of our way of sleeping.
Awesome.
So, all
I'm
right.
excited. So for part 3, I have here, we're going to cover breath and stress and breath and healing.
Correct.
So
That's good. We'll do that.
this has been, and well, first off, Eddie, this is amazing. This is now what we do. It is. It's an off night for us. We normally don't do this late at night.
That's okay.
On
That's
Thursdays, and I have no issue with it. So we know this thing's going to continue to grow. We're on our way to 1,000 episodes. That is our ultimate goal.
Tell
And
people to give us those thumbs up, please.
yeah, please. Hey guys, if you like it, share it. Please subscribe. We're learning how all that crap works, but I was told today by my daughter, don't just tell people to watch it, Dad. They have to subscribe to it, because the more subscribers you have, whenever you post a video, more people are gonna. Okay, so please like, subscribe, share, and comment if you enjoy this.
We want to
Comments are
tell them,
optional.
pardon me,
But
Ryan.
Eddie wants to talk to everybody.
You want
in
to
the
tell
comments.
them, if you like it, please give us the thumbs up. If you don't like it, tell us why.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I mean, this is not for everybody. I get that. There's a lot of people that aren't going to understand, aren't going to appreciate, and aren't going to like it. But this is for them too, because they're the ones who need to be exposed to it. Let's face it. I don't want to yell into an echo chamber. I want you to be a little uncomfortable with some of the things that we discuss.
We got
Want
good
you to be-
stuff coming.
Well, we got some.
Oh,
And
yes.
I also want you to be a little bit more informed. I'm not trying to tell anyone how to do or what to do or when to do, but I just want you to have an opportunity to enjoy the knowledge and the pursuit of education that my friend Eddie has already put out there for us. And if you guys have any questions involving anything, ask, and then I can add them to my list, and it makes my job
Absolutely.
easier, because I'm
Absolutely.
way over my head here, guys. I don't, and it's all my friends who are like, D, what are you doing now? I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's just another one of those things that I don't like telling people parts of my life, because it sounds like a lie whenever I put words to what sorry guys, I'm on another crazy train. Jump on, it'll be fun. Until next time, this has been Conversation for the Curious Mind. May the conversation continue.
Indeed.